That is quite the heavy metal intro. Claire liked it.
Yeah.
Race cars, power tools I'm with. Race cars, huh? Welcome to Stupid for Fantasy Football. I'm Adam. This is Claire, Jabber, and JJ. We're coming to you live from the streaming garage. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Check us out on YouTube, Blip TV, and iTunes, which is preferred because you don't have to see us. That's nice. Except for you, Claire. You look great. All right, we're going to get right into it.
But you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, you totally can.
You can see us because you want to.
You want to.
See, that's why.
We have our own camera.
It's like looking at the 49ers D. It's just not.
Already.
Oh, sorry. So let's get to Who Screwed You.
Fast.
Speaking of the 49ers D, our segment where we talk about who let us down on our fantasy teams this week. Who screwed you? Or me.
What is this one?
Kind of a DreamWorks scene.
It was a little fluffy white cloud.
That's
fishing
because
off the moon.
you wish it were a dream, maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I'll kick it off. No one screwed me. I went 3-0 this week. It was a great weekend for me. I was high score in 2 of my leagues. It's fantastic.
Good job.
How'd you guys do?
Good job. The only person who didn't screw me was my kicker, Matt Prater. I got screwed by Javid Best, LaShawn McCoy, Andre Johnson, Wes Welker, and Vernon Davis. Mostly what screwed me were injuries, though, so I think I'm going to change my team name to the Brittle Bone Brigade after this past week. I think it's time for an overhaul. Mark?
Look, amazingly, nobody really screwed me either this week, Jason.
Wow.
Well, I won! I actually won a game in my league. I beat Greg Boogie Rosenberger. I beat his Autos Orange Pack. I'll tell you, if I had to have gotten screwed, it would probably be from Percy Harvin and Steve Smith because they were on my bench, and that would have made me, I'm pretty sure, the highest scorer of the week. And those are 2 guys that I usually would start. You know what I mean? But I won, so nobody screwed me.
Wow, I was expecting a Claire-type list from you to include like random backups and other team members. Like
no, well, Claire has random backups because Claire dumped half of her squad this week.
We will get
She's
to
in
that.
18 leagues, so you can just pick up anybody. Tom Brady's available in her league.
You know who screwed me? Miles Austin.
Oh.
Or Austin Miles, or whatever the heck his formula of names is. I don't care. I'm upset. 2 receptions for 20 yards. We finally get a Dallas Cowboys win, and does this mean like the Dallas Cowboys win and Austin does terrible? If so, not that I like the Cowboys, but I will root against them. 2 receptions for 20 yards. You know how many points that got me in my league?
4.
1! 1 point!
How do you do scoring in that league?
You get like bonuses at reception levels, and it's 15 yards for a point from a receiver. And the first bonus at reception levels is once you have 5 receptions. So he got me a whole stinking point. Ocho Cinco also crapped the bed. Jacoby Jones. I can go on. Just my team.
You're live this week.
I'm Mark. Where's the angry sunglasses in the
Jacoby, JJ.
Whatever.
You just shanked that name.
Yeah, that's my job. I mess up names on this show.
I apologize. I got too angry. I got too angry.
Well, let's move on to our next segment. We've been really nailing some good picks here, and
we're pros.
It's what we do. It's also true that we have no life when we look at fantasy football all week.
Exactly.
Speak for yourself.
So we're going to go on to our next segment. We told you so.
I'm glad we're back to the bullets, by the way.
I'm
glad.
but
love the bullets.
The other one was kind of funny.
The baby voice.
Yeah.
Sure, back to the Bible.
It worked.
Corey wasn't feeling well this week, so he didn't get around to a whole. He was going to do one every week, apparently.
Yeah.
Keep messing with us.
He should have done a sick baby.
Yeah. It should have just been
Sick
like
baby that's been discarded.
Sure. Some kind of vomiting.
I was going to say garbage can, but that's
wow.
All right. Our first guy we're going to talk about, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because we were talking about him 2 weeks ago, is Peyton Hillis. This guy just blew up on one of the best run Ds in all of football. He looks like the real deal. He just knocked Jerome Harrison out of his starting job. What do you guys think?
I think he's more like Allscott than a poor man's version of Allstott.
Allstott?
What
are you doing
with you people?
That's my job.
When I showed up, we need a dictionary here. An NFL dictionary of names. Okay.
I'm going to say when I showed up,
Allstott
was in my seat.
I know, it's my fault.
It's thrown me off.
It's my fault.
But he seems like, you can do that. What he did last week against a run defense like that, I think, maybe it's time to stop calling him a poor man's version and just say that he's a good running back and he's going to be a solid starter for the rest of the season.
I agree that he's a good running back. I don't necessarily agree that he's going to keep this up all season. Okay, speaking of all-stat, a guy like that, okay, he had a couple of great games too where he'd score a couple of TDs, get over 100 yards, and be like, whoa, amazing. I don't think those big, beefy backs, like your boy J.K., John Kuhn. I don't think he's gonna do it all season. Look, now's the time to trade him. In my league, he was just traded, at a very high value for a couple of guys who are up and coming, like Colston was involved in the deal, something like that. So if you can swing that, more power to you.
But we did say, like 3 weeks ago, that this was a guy who is going to take over the number one spot, and this is the guy you should pick up.
And I have to give Marty credit for that. Yeah, Marty was the first guy on the Hillis bandwagon we all jumped on right after that. So
sure.
Marty, good job. Well, wherever you are out there, Marty, we miss you.
He's not dead up there. He's
not?
He's just away right now. I have to point that out. Marty's just not here.
Yeah, he's coming back
with
us
eventually.
He's just not here.
Because I really wanted to keep his jerseys. These are signed, and they're his. I mean, that's Witten and Peterson.
I have dibs on Peterson. So.
Well, maybe something will happen on the way home.
Anyway,
next guy that we told you about was Brandon Lloyd. We talked about him last week. Had a great week. He's starting to look like Denver's number one, although it kind of goes back and forth between him and Royal, and Gaffney's looking pretty good too. But Brandon Lloyd he had a huge game last week. Huge game.
Let's let our Niner fans talk about their emotions of Brandon Lloyd.
Well, I'm happy for him, and at the same time, it's sort of like, it's overdue. I mean, look, the kid, he makes great plays, makes spectacular plays. He's got great hands. He's great on the sidelines. Toes on the sideline. And he's good. I mean, who knows? This could be it. What do you think, Claire?
I think any time someone can excel, you gotta hand it to them. But I think anytime someone explodes one week, you have to be wary about the next week. You can't expect the same type of numbers, especially in a place like that where they have they do spread it around. But yeah, he looked great, and I think you can expect at least comparable.
And he was a great pickup.
Yeah,
I mean,
no doubt.
You get him for nothing.
He was dropped in my league last week, picked up this week. So,
Hey, I'm going to hand the next one over to the man who called it, JJ.
I did. Louis Murphy.
Yep.
Who I like to call Louis, although I believe it's Louis.
Louis.
Yes. But I like Louis better.
Some people call him All Scott.
Yeah. But last week I said this is a guy who's available in almost all the leagues. He seems to be the only guy catching balls. It actually looks like that offense is getting a little more. Grabowski is actually getting them down. Wow, I have become addict.
Grabass is doing a great job over there in Oakland.
I'm just going to say
the Polish cannon.
I'm going to say the Polish cannon is doing a great job getting the ball.
Now he's the Polish sausage.
He had 119 yards of receiving, didn't get in the end zone, but that's still a great performance. And now you're going to find that I don't think he's going to be available in as many leagues this week.
No. And he plays Houston this week, and Houston gives up all kinds of passing yards. They're easy to score on as a wide receiver. I think he's going to have another big game this week. So I definitely start him. If you listen to us and you picked him up, start him this week.
And I do think the Raiders are going to turn it around too. I think they're, I don't think they're as
got
bad
a solid
as
run
everybody
game now.
thinks they are. Yeah.
McFadden's the real deal.
They do.
That's going to sum it up for We Told You So, unless there's anybody you guys wanted to bring up that I missed.
You don't want to talk about your boy again?
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez. How about him, huh? Consistent every week, getting a lot of looks. I love it. All right, Aaron Hernandez. You heard it here first.
He's a good-looking guy, too.
Yeah, he is. He's a stud.
Yeah, he looks like a stud.
Good-looking dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'll give you one more.
All right, go for it.
We put Tony Gonzalez in our Hall of Fame a few weeks ago, and he finally had a big game.
Yeah, that's good.
Tony Gonzalez is back.
Yeah.
We told you he'd be back.
Of course he'd be back. I mean, it's Tony Gonzalez. I do want to make a little side note here. I found this funny. ESPN is recommending Aaron Hernandez and Peyton Hillis this week. We recommended Aaron Hernandez before the first game of the year, and we recommended Peyton Hillis after week 1. So
he's not plugging ESPN, folks. He's not plugging that.
With like 1/1,000,000th the money, actually less. We have zero cash, and look at their beautiful sets.
Right.
I mean, not quite as nice as ours.
But we've got the new pimped-out studio in the commissary outside.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah,
that is
food
nice.
court and everything.
Yeah, they're building us a 3-level set. It'll be
amazing.
fantastic. They're a little behind the 8 ball there. I mean, you recommend a guy after he blows up for 140 yards? That's not a waiver wire pickup.
What we do is we recommend the guy before he blows up.
Yeah.
Not after when everybody already knows that because they can pick up a newspaper and see his stats.
Yeah. What you're trying to say is ESPN sucks?
For fantasy
this is
football,
real?
yes.
Yeah,
I would say they're great for regular stuff, but for fantasy football, they're not fantasy football guys.
All ESPN is every time I turn it on, it's NASCAR.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah,
Too
that's
many
true.
cars.
Which is
You're right,
not
Robin.
a sport.
What we're trying to say is this is real fantasy football fans. We're not,
Yeah.
a, bunch
Yeah.
Of, we're not a bunch of overpaid.
And remember, we have fantasy
Overpaid
football,
ex-athletes.
race cars, and
Blowhards.
power tools, according to the song. So let's move on into our next segment. I'm going to hand it over to Jabber for the fantasy news.
Fantasy news, ladies and gentlemen. We got big news coming out of the NFL this week. I know this is something that Adam's very concerned about. The owners are set on moving to an 18-game schedule. Now, you wouldn't think, as I said initially, that this was sort of big fantasy news, but Adam, it is big fantasy news. Why?
Well, if, number one, it affects keeper leagues big time. You know, there's a lot of leagues, like I'm in a league where like a Javid Best might be worth more than somebody who's scoring more than him because he's going to have keeper value for years. He's young, you know, those kind of things. Number two, what if we don't have fantasy football next year? What the hell am I going to do with my entire fall? I mean, I don't know how I'd make it through this.
So it's emotionally impactful.
It's horrible. I mean, this is
May I
horrible.
suggest fantasy curling?
No.
I haven't figured out how it's going to work yet or when the curling season is, but if there's no football next year, which I unfortunately believe that it will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It's like there's been talk of lockout. It's not about 18 games, it's about money.
Yeah.
The owners want a bigger pie than they're getting right now from the Flares with the salary cap. They want to make more money. It's about greed. And that's what it's going to be. And now they're going to say, "Oh no, it's about the 18-game schedule." No, it's about money. It's about greed. It's about who gets more. And I think there's going to be a lockout. But fantasy curling, I haven't figured it out yet, but I will find out when the season is, and I will start putting together leagues in the case of a lockout. You can come here. It'll be stupid for fantasy curling, and we'll figure some stuff out.
Maybe we could have some sort of game where we try to figure out what the NFL players are going to be doing with their offseason. We can
I
have
like that,
fantasy, recreational.
Or you
Right,
you
over
enter a pool
unders
about
on
no football
who gets
nightmare
thrown in jail
scenario.
first.
Right, like
'Cause
what
that's gonna
team
happen.
has the most
Yes.
arrests in the offseason
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
football?
I'm going to go Raiders right now.
I'm going to stay with Bengals. I think you can't
I'm
go
going with
wrong.
Raider fans.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's going to beat everything.
I'm going with
That's a
Raider
good one.
fans.
Yeah. One
Big
more
sex
thing
scandal
about
among Raider
that story.
fans.
The reason that story is big is the way the owners made this decision. The NFL Players Association wanted it on the discussion. Owners shut the doors and did it anyway. It's 18 games. It's going to basically take away 2 preseason games, make the season 18 games, and if you look around the league right now, it's like the entire league's got a high ankle sprain. I mean, everybody's hurt, and that's what the players are concerned about. They don't want to play that much more. It's one extra home game for the owners, and that's what they want. They want that one
High
extra
ankle
home
sprains are bad.
Yeah.
I think I have one right now. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I think I have one right now.
game. Really?
And it's like odd. I'm fine, and then I'm not fine.
Did you get it cutting away from Ray Rice? Or?
I was.
Yeah.
Well, what do they call those things on the wall? The
I forgot what they're called.
What do they call
Giant
those?
stickers.
something head, fat heads.
Big heads.
Fat
I was
heads.
running away from a Ray Lewis fat head, and I just sprained my ankle.
That was a lot of work for a fat head joke. Let's just go on to the next story.
All right, next story.
Okay, next story. Now this is an interesting one. Out of Buffalo, as if it wasn't a rough week for Buffalo fans, right? So they got this Fitzpatrick kid starting quarterback, right? They released Trent Edwards, fine. Hasn't really worked out much since Jim Kelly, right? But now, is Marshawn Lynch, in fact, on the trading block? For right now, he's the starting quarterback. There's our guy.
Oh, look at that picture.
Is that guy's...
quarterback?
Well, actually, I think his teeth are on the trading block.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you get what you paid for in gold and diamonds.
Marshawn Lynch has been playing, right? This week he had, I think he had upwards of 13, 14 carries. Pretty good game. What's the deal here, JJ?
Well, even though they're saying they're not going to trade him, not going to trade him, not going to trade him, I mean, they drafted C.J. Spiller. They have another running back. It could be. Is it a case of them showcasing him? Is he being showcased for carries to say, hey, look what this guy can do? I mean, you look at, but I am reminded of the worst trade in NFL history right now.
What was that?
I feel like Green Bay is a team that feels they are a Super Bowl contender without a running back.
Yeah.
Remember the last time that happened? And then all of a sudden the Dallas Cowboys
Herschel
won
Walker.
3 Super Bowls?
Yep.
I doubt anyone's dumb enough to do that, but it was the same kind of situation. Herschel Walker wasn't up for a trade. He started getting more carries, goes to Minnesota for our entire decades worth of draft picks.
Jimmy Johnson takes the money that he's made from these Extends commercials, coaches the Bills for free, because he's a millionaire, and coaches them to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Johnson.
I don't know.
Not going to happen? All right.
The Bills are going to try. I believe that he's probably going to go to the Packers, too. I think the Packers definitely need a running back. And the only reason you play a guy that everybody in your organization from the owner down hates is because you're showcasing him. You want somebody to give you
not to disparage my boy, John Kuhn. John Kuhn, do we have my John Kuhn picture? Yes!
There he is.
Not to disparage
Spiker boy.
Not to disparage John Kuhn, but when the man on that bicycle is your leading rusher,
it's bad.
And like he really is now. Like he got more carries, he got more yards, he got more like looks and receptions. He's not the guy who you need to depend on for your run game. Sorry, John, I love you.
He tries,
and he's great, but he's not a number one.
Yeah.
No, he's not a number one, and he's more of a blocking back.
He's
the way he's built. It's not his fault. He's being asked to do something that's not what he's
genetic.
Used to
He's he's a good Wisconsin hometown.
Yeah, I mean he's a great player, but he's not the guy that is your 20 carries.
He doesn't have that quick twitch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy the Greek. Nobody
Next
remembers
story.
Jimmy the Greek, do they? All right.
Oh, love Jimmy the Greek.
Yeah, he was great.
Oh my gosh, he was the man. He had some problems. Okay, next story, number 3 here. You know, last week we did Keeping Up with the Joneses. Well, let's keep up with one of them this week because he is really not bringing it. Coffee, what's the deal with MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew? Consensus top 5, yet to score.
I'm wondering if it's emotional. Like, I wonder, because he's big on fantasy himself, and I wonder if he's, like, psyching himself out every time he gets out there, like he's feeling pressure because he drafted himself. I wonder if it's like a whole,
who screwed me.
like,
His
it's
who screwed me
himself
could be me.
every
He's
week.
himself. He could literally go, I screwed
Every
myself.
week he's like, I gotta get the numbers up, I gotta get my numbers, and you know how it is when you're just like, it's too much pressure on yourself every week.
Wow, and if
I
somebody
think
told him
he's
to go fuck
just-
himself, maybe he just
Yeah,
feels like he
I think that's what it
that.
is. That's my theory.
Interesting. Interesting commentary. All right, well,
Or
okay.
or they have a really bad offensive line.
Or they have
And
just
who's
like-
not-
Yeah,
who's not protected.
I agree. I think it's more the team overall, but it's definitely hurting his numbers.
It's just a bad offensive team that doesn't move the ball well.
Yeah.
They sag 8 men in the box against him every game
And
because
he's
you got
still
nothing else.
got, I mean, he's got 217 yards. It's not great, but it's not horrible. He hasn't disappeared. He's just not getting
and I believe,
opportunities.
isn't that where Trent Edwards went?
So he's probably going to get worse.
No, I think, I don't know, maybe Trent Edwards.
We'll see.
Trent Edwards as a starter opens things up. It's just another way for Bills fans to hate themselves.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There you go. There you go.
Trent Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, as a tandem going to Jacksonville. All right.
You love
Next
it.
story. No, I hate Jimmy Johnson. I hate the Cowboys. Okay. Steve Breston. Now, here's an interesting guy. He goes out, okay, Arizona, what's going to happen this year? Anquan Bolden leaves. Breston's the guy, finally establishing himself, and he's now done.
For at least a few weeks, yeah.
For at least a few weeks. What are the implications for the Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald, everybody over there, Adam? What?
You know, I got to say, I don't think that Steve Breston was a factor beforehand and before this, and it wasn't his fault. That team is horrific at quarterback. I mean, they just, even when it was Leinart in the preseason, they were terrible. I mean, you know, they have nobody to get the ball out. Breston's obviously below Fitz on the depth chart. There's a rookie there. I think his name's Steven Williams. He might get some more playing time. I don't even think he's worth a pickup. That team is just, I mean, it's going to be all run and a few passes to Fitzgerald. So this doesn't really affect most people. In fact, it's a nice thing because those of you who spent a draft pick on Steve Breston, now you can feel really good about just dropping him, getting somebody else.
Yeah.
Right,
You know?
right. And you know what, Fitzgerald, I mean, not really an overly impressive season so far. No. He's only got 12 catches on the year. He does have 2 touchdowns, but those were on days that he wasn't really catching a lot of balls and getting a lot of yardage. So I have to think that the increased coverage on him is going to be problematic for that whole team.
He's going to go through what Calvin
Yeah, I mean,
Johnson
I
went
think
through last year.
you
Triple
basically
coverage.
moved everybody in Arizona's offense have become bye-week replacements.
Except maybe Beanie Wells. I think
And
Wells.
Beanie
now
Wells
is
looks
getting
really good, and I
Yeah.
think he's going to take the job from Hightower. But, like, that's a team that, like, you just, you know, you probably got a better option sitting somewhere that you can go to.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for our top news stories for the
All right,
moment.
great. Well, let's
All right.
move on
Thanks,
to our
Adam.
next segment, where we cover all the injuries from a medical standpoint with our lovely Dr. Burger in The Doctor Is In. Hello, Ingrid. Ingrid, are you there? I see you.
I can hear you. Can you hear? I'm great. Great. How are you guys doing? No? That's correct. And, his MRI on Monday showed that he just had really a muscle strain and not a tear of that groin muscle, whichever muscle it was. So I really expect him to be back, in the next 2 weeks probably. I would say give him a week or two to heal from that, but it's not such a serious injury. Do I think he could play this coming game? It's really hard for me to say. Again, since it's on the lower spectrum of injuries and he just sprained it, he didn't tear it, he might be able to play, but I really can't make a better guess than that. Yeah.
For the week, ladies and gentlemen, Visanthe Shiancoe, tight end from Minnesota. Can we see this picture? We got it? Oh, check it out on Fox News, live on the air.
Henry Kissinger?
Full frontal. Yeah,
Oh.
and Henry Kissinger was in the shot, which was nice. I thought that was very funny. But anyway, he's got, now, all I had on it was a lower leg injury. Does anybody have a little more on that? They were very vague about what's wrong with him, but he might miss time. Anything, did you find anything on that?
Yeah, I think Shiancoe, he has a hamstring injury, and his coaches and he have really been playing down how serious it is. So I'm assuming it's a grade 1, which is just a little bit of spraining or tearing of just a few of the muscle fibers. So it's on the lower spectrum of things. And he could be back to playing by their next game. I understand they have a bye next week, so he'll probably be back without any, sequela or problems with his game, since it is a more minor hamstring injury.
And so the bye week is all he's going to need. Let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry, I went over Javid Best. This is a big injury this week. Javid Best is top 5 running back in the league so far this year. Turf toe. Now, as a fantasy football player, I get really nervous when I hear turf toe because it's an injury that guys try to play through and they generally suck when trying to do it.
Right.
What do you have for us on Javid Best?
Yeah, so this is the most serious injury of the week that we're going to talk about. And basically, turf toe is dislocation of the big toe. So you can sprain, tear the ligaments that connect the base of the big toe to the head of the first metatarsal. So it's that metatarsal phalangeal joint that gets ruptured and torn, and then the toe dislocates. And, it seems like a fairly small part of the foot, but when you think about it, you push forward on that part of your foot when you're running. And so if players try to play through that, then they can just damage the joint further, and they can end up with, a career-ending injury if they don't stay off it and let it heal. That being said, this injury typically doesn't require surgery. It can be treated with a closed reduction, and they're usually out for 3 to 4 weeks if it's a serious injury. So I would expect him to be off of it for 3 to 4 weeks and then hopefully back in the game.
This is another one of those instances where they're saying he's a game time decision. So they're saying he might play. What do you think about that? Do you think that's not likely to happen?
Well, it's difficult to say because this is one of those injuries that's graded. So there are 3 types. There's type 1, which is just a strain of the ligaments, type 2, which is a partial tear, and type 3, which is a full tear. I don't know which one he has. So if he has just a grade 1, he might be able to play next week. But again, this is one of those injuries that you really want to err on the side of caution with and really rest up, because if he aggravates it, he could develop early osteoarthritis in that joint, and then his career could be over. So again, it depends on how serious it is, but I'm pessimistic about his ability to play the next game.
So the doctor's saying probably not going to go with Best. We'll tweet more before the games. We'll let you know what's going on. But
now turf toe sounds a lot more gruesome.
After listening to that description.
Yeah.
I've always thought turf toe was just like you bumped your toe, but after listening, I'm like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, and most people think about that. It's like, since it says turf toe, you're like, well, it's just a toe. How bad can it be?
Yeah.
But it really is one of those injuries.
Like the more medical the
guy.
description got, the worse it seemed. Ow.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed don't be afraid to call them your patients.
Yeah.
Because they will be eventually. After this show, they're all going to be your patients.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Great.
All right, well, Ingrid, thank you very much. We're going to move on to some other injuries that we didn't have. Actually, if you want to hang around, we got Jason Witten has a sprained MCL. He's on a bye this week.
Okay.
It's just a sprained MCL, so he gets this week off. Will he be okay for week 5?
Probably. If it doesn't require surgery, there's a good chance that he could be back to playing before the bye.
Week and a half. It's just a sprain. Then also Andre Johnson. This is apparently he's not going to play this weekend, or they're saying he might not because Houston doesn't want to risk him against Oakland.
What is a high ankle sprain? I think it's what we know. It's all over the league. What is a high ankle sprain?
Yeah.
So a high ankle sprain is a sprain in the ligaments that go between the fibula and the tibia. So it's one of the ankle ligaments, but it's higher up on the ankle, and you can get fractures associated with those. But yeah, high ankle sprains are typically not good news, and patients can be out for several weeks, and it depends on whether or not they require surgery. I'm not sure if this particular patient requires surgery or player requires surgery, but that's what a high ankle sprain is.
That's what I heard is if it was another game or if it was a playoff game, they would probably play him, but they're considering benching him because they're playing the Raiders and they feel rather confident they can beat him without.
Yeah.
So, got to watch Andre Johnson this week. Doctor, thank you very much. Once again,
You're
fantastic advice, a lot of help. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
My
Ingrid.
pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to move on now. We've gone over injuries, and we've gone over the news, and we did a little bit of bragging with the We Told You So. And so now we're going to move on to who to pick up to replace these guys, who to pick up if you've got a guy who's failing you. It's time for our segment, On the Wire. All right, this week I'm going to start it off because I love this guy, and I picked him up in a couple of leagues.
Do you love him as much as a rookie tight end for New England?
Not that much, but he's very close second.
I'm
if he
gauging.
performs well,
I'm gauging.
I got to tell you this: he's got a great right hook. His name is LeGarrette Blount. That's him knocking out the Boise State player. That picture right there is
crowning achievement.
Yes, it's the reason he wasn't a first-round pick this year. He was before last season in college football. He was up there with Javid Best. They were talking about him as one of the best running backs in college football, and he blew it. He's a little bit of a head case apparently, and he absolutely blew it. However, he's extremely talented, and now he's in Tampa Bay. He got 6 carries for 27 yards and got the goal line carry, got the touchdown. He doesn't have very good competition in Tampa Bay.
I think that's my point about him too. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no one there.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, what do you think about that?
He doesn't have that much. I mean, look, here's the thing. I'm a Cadillac Williams fan. I like the guy. I think LeGarrette Blount is probably going to get some goal line carries that Caddy wouldn't normally get. But Williams he's running hard. He's there. But look, a young talent like this comes along. He's real good. So I don't know. For me, it's a wait and see. I can't make the call. I don't really know. Of course, I'm not employed by the Buccaneers either.
Yeah, you're not?
Not anymore. I was the GM.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him, he's definitely talented, but Cadillac is, Cadillac hasn't been ineffective this year, and he hasn't been hurt. And I think, he's going to keep carrying the ball until he does, and it's very likely he does get hurt. He's been hurt every season since he's been in the league.
If you have someone who was injured, I say pick him up because you need to drop someone, and he's feisty.
Yeah.
So
and he's available in 97% of leagues. I mean, this is a guy who's out there. This is another one of those picks that we try to get for you. We're talking about him now, and if he does what I think he's going to do, ESPN will be talking about him in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Agreed.
The point is nobody knows about this guy yet. Pick him up if you're hurting a running back. He's on a bye this week, so you might be able to wait till next week to pick him up. But pick him up. I think he's going to perform for you later on.
Yeah.
Claire, who do we have next?
Kenneth Darby.
Darby. I like that name. I don't know why.
Like Terrence Trent
Kind of a
Darby.
girl's
Yes,
name.
that's what it is. Terrence Trent Darby.
Darby's a girl's name to me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
Kenneth. He's a football player. Watch
But it was
yourself.
also Charles Darby, right? What was it?
Well, other than just the fact that we like the name Darby, why do we like the idea of adding him to the waiver wire? Anyway?
Well, because of
talk
the
about
Steven
it.
Jackson injury.
His name.
Yeah, he's yeah. It's just so we can say
Let's
his
talk
name.
about his name. I don't care.
It's
never seen this guy play.
Steven Jackson might miss time, and if he doesn't miss time this week, he's almost guaranteed to miss a game at some point this year. It's the way he is.
It's the hair.
Yeah, it's the hair. He's got to
He's
get
weighing
that
it down.
weave done, and it takes a while. So he's got to take a week off. Darby is the backup. I'm not too thrilled about him as far as his skill set, but he's got opportunity, and we talk about opportunity a lot with these guys. I'd say if you got Jackson, you got to pick him up. If not, there's somebody to watch.
But we're coming into our first round of bye weeks. You may need a player. He's the guy who's available. If he's a bye week replacement, you can do a lot worse.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. This next guy, we're going to talk about him because everybody's talking about him. You probably already know about him, and if you don't, you're not paying attention. Lance Moore had a huge week.
Yeah.
I love this picture. I think it's from last year, 2 years ago. He disappeared. 2 years
That
ago,
was
he
the
was
ref
awesome.
punching him out, actually.
Yeah,
that was a fight between the line judge and Lance Moore. And let me tell you something.
line
judge kicked his
judge is
ass.
LeGarrette Blount's
Okay.
uncle, and it just runs in the family, apparently.
Right.
But, you know,
There it is.
I would say he's probably not available in your league. During last week's games, he was available in about 59% of leagues. He's probably been picked up at this point. If you picked him up, trade him. Trade him. Sell high. What do you guys think about the whole Lance Moore situation?
Lance Moore, he's, and the tough thing with New Orleans is they're so good offensively, and he's so good at spreading that ball out. Like, I think Lance Moore probably going to have maybe one or two more great games like this season, but you don't know when they're going to come.
You don't know when they're. I totally agree, JJ.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, Devery Henderson has been so quiet so far, but you know,
Watch him
he's
blow
gonna
up
have
this
a game.
week.
he'll
This
have,
week he's
he'll
going to
have
have
3
good-
catches
yeah,
for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So
It's like,
it-
where'd Lance Moore go?
Yeah, and another thing, if you need a receiver, and they're available, Lance Moore, Devery Henderson, these New Orleans guys, you're not sure what is going to be their week, but there's always the potential of them having a breakout week.
Yeah. Yeah. Next guy on the list, this is a guy I like. Guess what? It's another rookie tight end. Aaron Hernandez. There's competition for my tight end love. His name is Tony Moyaki, and he is with Kansas City. That was a one-handed catch. It was sick. It was gorgeous. It was a great catch.
Sporting some navel there.
Yeah, which is a little extra sexy
it was
for
a
you.
really good
Midriff.
Yeah.
Sporting midriff and the one-hander.
Yeah, I mean,
That's gutsy.
yeah, really, literally
Tight
gutsy.
end.
Literally.
It's literally gutsy. Literally.
This year is all about Kansas City, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah, and 49ers got to find that out
Because they
first.
beat our team?
Yeah.
Coffee, you're like jumping ship on everything here. We're going to do a segment of all the people that Coffee dumps off her team.
No, but
it's amazing.
If she moves to the Chiefs, it's easy. She just has to add a little yellow to the jersey, and you save a lot of money.
Wait, this just in. Claire just dropped Adrian Peterson. It's amazing. I can't believe it. It's very strange how that happened. But it's not even on her computer or anything. Just
Or
dropped him.
maybe by the end of the year, it'll just be like, oh my God, Claire is the smartest person
Maybe.
I've ever
Maybe.
met.
Claire is mentally dropping everybody from her squad. She's just mentally,
Her team lost, she fired them all.
telepathically dropping.
I'd actually like to see her GM a team. They'd have one bad game, the whole organization would get fired.
Right,
She'd bring in all these Canadian football players.
Cameron Diaz it from Weekend Sunday. Wow.
But in regard to this part, I'm going to say, Adam, I followed your advice,
Cameron.
and I just right now, since Mark and I are trying a technological side of the table here,
Yeah, because
I picked him up and dropped Michael Crabtree because I need a tight end.
You
this
just
weekend.
dropped. You just picked
I
him
did
up?
right now. I dropped Michael
I
Crabtree.
mean, it's happening now.
It's happening now.
It's so Wolf Blitzer of you, Jay.
It is. I was like, I can do it now.
You could.
Yeah.
You do a lot of stuttering.
And as you see, he's easy to pick up.
I could.
I could. Here in the.
So you can pick up Michael Crabtree this week
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
play him in
He's
a couple
available
of
on
weeks
Facebook.
when the 49ers are going to get smoking again.
Oh, we're so bad. Okay.
So bad.
Yeah. By the way, Tony Moyaki is available in 95% of leagues.
But if you're
I like
watching
him.
from my league, he is no longer available since he's now on Rum's Ramblers.
And then, you know what, JJ, why don't you talk about this last one, because I know you're high on these guys, too.
I will, because I just picked them up as well, but not instantly during the show.
I picked them up as well.
But, like we talked about with bye weeks, and maybe now let's get into bye weeks, because you and I have very different theories on bye weeks, Adam.
It's true.
But for my team, I need a defense. I have a good defense. I have the Vikings defense. I'm not going to drop them. I dropped Vince Young, who I can pick back up next week, who's my, sit on my bench quarterback.
Why would you pick him back up?
Well, I just may. I don't know. I can pick up somebody different.
Emotionally, you can pick him back
Emotionally,
up. 'Cause
I
he
can-
sucks.
Yeah, he's
And he needs a little pick-me-up.
But the Seattle Seahawks defense. Seattle has very quietly played great defense.
Yeah.
And they played great defense against the run, allowing only 2.8 yards per carry this
I think
year.
they play creative defense.
And they're going against a St. Louis team that is without Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson.
So if you need a defense, and until yesterday they were available in my league, the Seattle Seahawks, I think, are great, like, bye week. I've looked around in different leagues, they're not owned. People just don't, like, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm actually going to say this right now. They're going to finish a top 10 fantasy defense. They've been playing great. I'm a huge USC fan, so I followed Pete Carroll through his college career, and the one thing this guy does great is defense. And you're right, he does creative defense. He runs very interesting blitz packages. He has a lot of packages that look like a blitz and then drop back. That's why they get some interceptions. They're a great fantasy D. If you're hurting and nobody else has picked them up, they're available in 88% of leagues.
I picked them up in both my leagues.
And
not
defense is
available in
one
my
of those weird things where I feel like people have a problem pulling the trigger on switching their team defense. Like, you get this idea in fantasy that a defense is good. Like, for instance, the Philadelphia
Niners.
Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are really not a good defense this year. They're not. But they have a history and a tradition of it, and so people, like, are afraid to drop them.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you, and I'm going to say one other thing. Another team that is not good, and you're not going to like this, JJ, is Minnesota. They're not as good of a fantasy defense as they were last year.
I agree.
I dropped them this year.
If I was not a Minnesota Vikings fan, I probably would have dropped
defense,
them.
I think, it's a more emotional thing. You like
It
just
is.
think like, oh yeah, they're really, but there are a lot of intangibles.
It's also you look at the Jets last year. Now, the Jets had a great football defense, but in most leagues they were 5th or 6th, which is still good.
Yeah.
But they weren't the best overall because they were so good they didn't get as many of the turnover opportunities.
Yeah.
They didn't get as many sacks because they'd get a sack and then 4 and out, their offense would have the ball. They got offenses off the field really quick. So for a football team, great D. Fantasy Ds, it's kind of a different thing.
And they can get you a lot of points if they're.
Yeah, if you're hanging on to that San Francisco Niners defense because you were a huge Mike Singletary fan,
then take up knitting.
no
the
offense,
Steelers
but get
right
rid
now.
of
So pleasant talking about how bad my
fantasy
team is.
knitting.
Yeah, coming up
Fantasy
next,
knitting.
Stupid for Knitting. It's coming. A couple of other things I want to talk about real quick. I'm a big fan of picking up middle-of-the-pack defenses that are playing horrible teams. Atlanta, is playing the 49ers this week. And the 49ers
This is our new
awful.
segment known as Bagging on the 49ers.
Yes,
Unbelievable.
yes,
It's
yeah.
really amazing. We all just shut up now.
It's gonna be 1 week for.
Also, New Orleans is playing the Panthers. New Orleans is available in some leagues. And Houston gets Oakland. And I think Darren McFadden will have a good game, but I don't trust the Polish cannon. I do like Lewis Murphy, but I don't. You never trust a Polish cannon.
Can we just never call him that again on the show?
It is kind of. It
It's
does
just
sound
a
like a
little
Polish
bit-
porn, doesn't it?
It's just odd. Polish cannon. It just reminds me of sausage being made.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
want to see it being made. I just want to eat it.
Okay, now we got to move on because this just got weird.
Just want to eat sausage in peace.
All right.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Wow. Okay, and that has been our last show. No, I'm kidding. Let's move on. Does anybody else have any waiver wire pickups you want to talk about?
I don't know if he's available unless you have an 18.
Apparently,
league
in our
like
in our
me.
tech correction section here,
I'm just saying.
I've been pointed out that although team defense, as you just talked about, how sometimes a team defense may not be the best, but their fantasy is very different. The Eagles are actually currently ranked 4th.
Yeah.
In CBS.
Yeah.
So I was apparently really off base.
But they went into week 3 ranked 23rd in the league against both the pass and the run. So
And then,
like
and then
definitely not as
they
dominant
played
as they have been in the
Detroit.
past.
So let's
Yeah.
wait because Detroit is like a freebie.
So our technology side of the table has provided an instant retraction from me.
It's like
Also, one
corrections.
other defense real
Colin doesn't
quick.
get as much attention. this week.
Stat guy, Colin, where were you on that?
Colin, where were you on that?
I missed it entirely. I was prepping for the next
Colin's
day.
on Facebook.
Colin's over there. What are you doing? What are you doing? You should,
He's working on his Farmville.
Colin's playing gangster and whatever the hell.
He just got a new.
Mafia Wars.
He just got a new bat. He's gonna go see if he can get his gang together.
Can I add? I want to add one for the waiver wire if he's available, which he probably might not be.
In your
but-
league, definitely.
In your league,
He's
everybody's
available in my
available.
league. Justin Forsett. He hasn't done much yet, but I think if Okung and Chester Pitts are playing now for Seattle, he's about to kind of really explode. That's my prediction.
Yeah, because Pete Carroll will use that team and start pounding the run
Yeah.
a lot and rely on his defense. He likes to do that.
So start starting if you have him, and those guys are in this week.
And
start him.
If you don't have him, it's a good time to trade for him because
And
you can
like-
get him low. You can
yeah.
get him cheap.
That's my,
nobody likes him.
In
That's my
Claire's
pick.
league, actually, after 3 weeks, there's a rule. It's a very interesting rule. You don't see this very often. You actually have to put players back in the free agent pool.
Yeah, they draft every 3
Every
weeks.
3 weeks, you just have to get rid of them or else you're penalized several points. So
Yeah.
you'll see everybody available.
Amazingly, she's got like Dan Marino, Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice.
Marcus
Incredible
Dupree is her backup.
It's amazing.
And he barely had a career.
Tecmo Bowl Jackson.
Right.
One more D I want to mention real quick, and I another team that I think could end up a top 10 is Kansas City. We mentioned them last week.
I'm picking them up this week.
Yeah, I really like Kansas City. They're playing great D, and that team's going to have to rely on their D. So, all right, let's move on to our very next segment where you guys get a little advice from us. It is called Smash, Dash, or Trash. All right, so
let's do it. Bring it.
If you guys want to tweet in or in the chat room, give us your lineup. We'll do lineup questions too, but what we try to do here is you give us a player and we tell you whether he's a smash hit, he's a guy you want to stash away on the bench, or he's trash and you want to get rid of him. The way we're going to do it is it's going to go from JJ down. When it gets to me, I'll compile it and overwrite it and tell you what I think and not care about what they said. All right.
Wow, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem.
Makes my opinion feel valid.
Yeah, I'm glad he laid it all out.
I'm just going to agree
really
with
did.
whatever
Exactly
you say,
how it's going to go.
Really.
I don't deviate.
All right.
Okay.
Because I'm the decider.
So let's go over to Statman
Nuclear.
Colin.
All right. Actually, the first one is a trade question.
Okay.
Mayor's 54321 wants to know, should they drop Visanthe Shiancoe and pick up Kevin Walter instead?
No.
No, I would say I would say no.
It's like a Johnny Knox.
Shiancoe.
What was there, a dot there, Colin? Or perhaps after we were like, no. Was that in there?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Hey!
Henry Kissinger, ladies and gentlemen.
There's little Visant.
Here's the thing. I like Kevin Walter. I do. Shiancoe's gone for a little bit, but Shiancoe is the guy. I mean, he's a great
He's
tight
got a
end.
bye week.
They got
He's got a bye week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got time to rest. Let him rest.
Yeah.
Let him rest.
Guy's a top 5 tight end. You don't drop him.
Can a guy get a break?
However, I'll say this: Kevin Walter is a great pickup, so definitely pick him up, but don't drop Shiancoe for him. There's got to be somebody else.
It's a trade.
Oh, it's a trade.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a trade. Then I would trash that trade.
Yeah, you don't want to give up on
trash it.
Shiancoe.
I would trash this.
Wait,
advice.
and then
It's terrible.
yeah, Johnny Knox is the other.
You had the same advice.
So we'll trash that
Oh.
trade. Definitely.
Trash the trade.
Trash in the trade.
And then this one seems like a justify, but taking Malcolm Floyd and dropping Ocho Cinco, was that a smart move?
No.
I wouldn't say it's a terrible move because from when I finally got to watch Malcolm Floyd play, I thought, ooh,
He's good.
this is intriguing. This is intriguing.
I think it's a lateral move.
It's a lateral
It's
move.
like, yeah, all right.
But the thing is, Carson Palmer has been so bad,
Yeah.
and Ocho Cinco's been still pretty good, right? I kind of think like if Palmer does straighten things out with the Bengals, as opposed to the other team he's going to play for, if he straightens things out this season, then I have to think that Ocho Cinco reaps those benefits immediately. I think he's the first one.
I agree.
You know, so
I agree. Again, I'm going to say, why'd you drop Ocho Cinco for him? I mean, is your team so stacked at wide receiver that was the guy you
Right,
wanted to
exactly.
drop? It just
Yeah.
doesn't
Like
make
all
any
of
sense.
this-
He had one bad game. It's not. I wouldn't
all
worry
of
about
this is
it yet.
contextual, of course, right?
Yeah.
In the context of your team, your scoring system.
Yeah.
But from the limited information we're getting.
Yeah, it's neither good nor bad. So it's.
I
middle of
would
the road.
say that's a stash justification.
Yeah,
Right in
that's
the-
a stash.
right in the
Whatever
middle.
that means. We're gonna call it
That's
a
our
stash.
middle thing, stash. Yeah.
And also because we have a cool graphic for it.
Stashify.
I like the stash graphic.
Yeah,
the
it's
best.
cool.
Stash.
What else we got?
How about Leon Washington? I mean, he had that killer game for Seattle last week.
Yeah, but if
Guys.
it depends on if you get points for returns.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I don't think he's worth the stash. Honestly.
I agree, Claire. I mean, look, everybody.
I know I'm being really pensive.
Here's the deal. Leon Washington had 1 carry last week for no yards. Okay, he had 2 touchdown returns.
Yeah.
Sure. if
I
it's
don't think he's
included
the
in your special
guy.
teams, he's not.
I-
He's not. And somebody tried to trade him to me this week, and it was preposterous. I'm definitely not banking on this guy. Now, Pete Carroll apparently wants to get him a little more involved in the running game. But that
Everybody
doesn't
says that.
mean
According to
Of course they
CBS
would like
Sports.
to. Right. Well, no, I mean I've heard some other things too.
The thing
They'd
is,
like to get him
coaches,
involved.
but the coaches
But-
love to say everyone's going to get involved.
Right.
They don't want to go, hey, you know that guy? No, he kind of sucks,
Yeah.
and we're going to sit him on
Yeah.
the bench.
I don't wanna
Every
use
player
everybody
they
on
want to
my
get involved.
roster.
And we
Yeah.
just talked about Forsett and how we feel like he's stepping up. He's going to
Yeah.
take over that team. They're going to start leaning on him. Trash him.
Yeah, unless of course
You get
return.
return.
I have a league where we get return yards, and he's a great player because the nice thing about kick returners is they get points every week because they're always going to return a few kicks, so they're consistent. But if you're not getting those return yards, trash, big time, I'd say.
Yeah.
Stash in a
There's
return
the trash.
league. There's a trash. Yeah.
Stash
What else we
as in
got?
Don't take it.
Yeah, I feel like we don't trash enough people.
Ryan Terrain,
Oh,
running
we
back
just
for
talked
the,
about this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But should we get the official word on whether or not he can be any possible use in the fantasy?
Yeah.
I like if you're a
Maybe
Portis owner, I
Stash.
think you got to pick him up because
Sure.
Portis is a kind of guy that is going to miss time and possibly. He's a guy that I look at, and it's any day now he's out for the year. I mean, it's just.
Although
a matter of time.
Portis did just tell reporters that he is still a feature back.
Oh, yeah.
So he has let us know.
According
that
to Clinton Portis is awesome.
Portis is still one of the.
But he was also dressed up as Barney.
Yeah.
I think it's
press
I think it's
conference, so
a
that was a little
sign
odd.
that we were really talking about him earlier, so I'm taking that as a stash.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
especially if you got Portis, pick him up.
Yeah.
If you got
Claire's
a
going
room,
with
you
the
got Portis.
I'm going,
telepathic
yeah.
approach.
Yes.
I'm going full tilt emotional today.
So ladylike of you, Claire. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll stash him.
Yeah,
sure.
stash.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you have Portis, you got to pick him up.
Yeah. Especially if he's
Bouncing off
already
the
good.
screen over there.
I'm glad JJ saw that. That was the only thing. All right.
I'm so excited about this stash. He is literally falling out of his chair.
Claire said she was getting emotional. I wanted to give her space. When a woman gets emotional, you give them space. I'm married. I know these things. Okay? All right. What else we got, Colin?
All right, with the injury to Ray Rice, any of the other running backs in Baltimore to go with, like LaRon McClain or Willis McGahee, one of those guys perhaps to take over the load.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Yeah. That's
it's
going to be
possible.
covered in Mark's new segment coming up soon. So we're going to hold on that one.
Table that for the moment.
We don't want to steal
Yeah.
Jabber's thunder over
No,
there.
Yeah.
you never want to steal my
Don't
thunder.
steal his thunder.
Because it's thunderous.
Does that one
And
count? Is that
dangerous.
my backup?
That counts.
All right.
That counts. JJ's
Super
got my
thunderous.
back.
All right, I'm going to get one off of Twitter here, actually. Pierre Garçon from the Colts. He hasn't played yet. He's been injured. Is he worth keeping around, seeing what happens?
I say trash.
I do too.
This is my opportunity to rub it in Marty's face. Like we were watching last week. Austin and Collie, baby. I think at this point, Collie's clearly the number 2, borderline number 1.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Number 2.
But Collie's definitely the number
Pure
2 there
numbers,
right
number
now,
1.
and I don't see Garçon really being a factor right now. Garçon's the kind of guy you can trash him now and probably pick him back up in a few weeks if something were to happen to Collie. Or I don't think there's any demand for Garçon. I think you can get him again if you need to make a roster spot.
Yeah. If
And
someone
just
will trade
to
you.
mention for a moment bets with Marty, now that Steven Jackson may be out 2 weeks, Sean Green may catch up to him.
He may.
And
This-
Well, at his
this
current
contest
pace, though,
could
it'll
get
take
very
about 10
interesting.
weeks.
No,
actually,
remember I
it's
said it would
about 10
take
years.
2 games to catch up. And Steven Jackson may be out 2 games, so you may be pulling into even.
Hey, anything can happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
It stands for not for long.
So,
Right?
total trash.
Thanks,
Was
Frank.
that trash all around?
Yeah. I mean, keep an eye on him because you never know when he comes back. But if he's on your bench right now, you really don't need him. He's injured. He's not playing anyway.
You know what I mean? May blame.
Anybody else for us, Colin?
Boris Green Ellis, the guy had killer stats last week.
Yeah, I think.
If he's still available in your league, yeah, I think he's a smash. He
Yeah.
appears to be the guy getting all the carries for New England. I mean, there's always going to spread the ball out a little bit, but he does appear to be the number 1 back there. And I say he's a smash. You could start him.
I never trust New England running backs.
Yeah.
I just don't. And I don't know what to say. They got this other kid. I forget his name. Is
Woodhead.
it,
Danny
what's that?
Woodhead.
Yeah,
Danny Woodhead, who they were pretty excited about. And when Randy Moss is pumping him up, and
I talked about him earlier, and you guys laughed and laughed.
No, I
at me.
laughed because I don't believe. I mean, the guy had 1 good carry and he got in the end zone.
Right.
That's it.
But
That's all the
Belichick's
guy
talking
did.
about him.
Green Ellis is the guy there.
Yeah, he is,
But
yes.
I will agree that unless they're playing a team that has a horrible run defense, I wouldn't start them because there's so many better options. And the Patriots, their run game is half little dump passes to Welker or Edelman or any of those guys. I mean, that's how they run the ball, is little short passes. So sometimes they literally run the ball 15 times in a game and they win.
But Kevin Falk, torn ACL. The entire New England running game
This
could
is what I'm
be in the
telling
midst of a
you.
little bit of an overhaul. I totally
Yeah.
agree with you too, Adam. You just never know with those guys. But With Falk leaving, this could be an opening, or it could create so much uncertainty that you just you throw your hands up.
What are you going to go?
He's a stash.
What are you going here?
I'm saying he's a stash.
I said smash. Mark has been riding the fence without saying it.
Stash.
I'm going to say smash because if you have a bunch of injured players, or like if you have some running backs who have been, a little less than great, I think you take the gamble.
It's good to have running back depth. I'm going to say stash, and it's 2-2, so it's a stash because I said it.
What does Henry Kitchen think?
We'll see.
I believe that's actually Ziggy Wilfred or something like that.
Yeah,
what is the
Ziggy
name of the
Wolf.
owner?
Right.
Yeah, look at that. Look
There
at
he
that.
is.
Henry
Great
Kissinger.
picture.
It's like there's a
Yeah.
penis on my tricep. Okay.
Hasn't that happened to everyone?
Everybody in a locker room full of.
Remember this week, you guys, bye weeks for Kansas City, Dallas, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay. You should know that already. If you don't,
Please don't
Hello?
start Percy Harvin and then complain to us.
yeah, seriously. I mean, come on.
How many texts
We're not
do I
going to
get
tell you who's
week
on their
after week,
teams.
people?
Yes, we recommended Tony Moiaki, and he's on Kansas City, but trust me, pick him up now. You'll be happy later. We got anybody else calling for?
Yeah, another just who should they start this weekend? Johnny Knox or Devin Hester?
Johnny Knox.
Yeah.
I have been talking about Johnny Knox for the last few weeks, and that I feel like he's going to catch on in that offense, so I would again say Johnny Knox.
I just don't want to be wrong, so I'm going to say that Johnny Knox is still going to be a miserable mess of a receiver. But I
12-pack?
Hey, no 12-pack. No, I think you should probably go ahead. Definitely Knox over Hester. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
Johnny
100% Knox over Hester.
Yeah, we're all going to say smash on Knox. I will say one thing, though. Again, if you're in a league that does return yards, consider Hester because he's going to be more solid. But those leagues are rare. Anything else, Colin?
Yeah, let's go with Donald Brown for the Colts. Is he worth picking up or just like having on deck?
I've heard that he has an injury.
I don't know.
Donald Brown is problematic because, last week, the week before, he had like 75 yards or whatever, and then this week he did nothing. Donald Brown's the kind of guy who, if you don't have him, you don't care, and if you already have him, you're like, well, I should maybe hold on to him a little bit. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
I hate those guys.
Yeah. They've been talking about him taking Adai's job for 2 years now. It's not happening.
Right. And he has a sore hammy.
Yeah, and the reason it's not happening is because he's terrible at picking up the blitz on for Manning, and that's a big problem. If you play on the Colts, you better know how to block.
Yeah.
And he has trouble with that. So I have a feeling that this kid is never going to really be much unless the Colts trade him. And I think they might start thinking about that because if he can't block for the greatest passer arguably to ever play the game, and I'm a Marino fan saying that, by the way, then he's not going to get much time there. He's just not going to. He's never going to see a third down. So, Colin, anybody else?
Yeah, we got one more actually. Justin 1756 would like to know, should he start Legadou Nene?
Well, it depends on what your options are.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of his.
If you're in a 20-team league and he's your starter, then go right ahead.
Is he in the chat room?
Yeah, they're in the chat room right now.
Yeah.
Ask him what his options are. I mean, if it's Nene, then that's all he's got. Then what are you gonna do?
I mean, he's a middle of the road, like low end number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
You got a bye week coming up. If you don't got an option,
If you're in a league that starts 3 wide receivers, he's not a bad third.
Yeah. He's not like your number. If he's your number 1 receiver, you probably have some problems.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he had one good game, week 1, right? He had over 100 yards. And now, Malcolm Floyd has sort of emerged as the number 2 guy.
The number one guy. Yeah.
So it's like, I just think he's too inconsistent.
Well, but with Rivers, that's a team. I mean, obviously Gates is the man there. Even when Jackson was around, Gates was the man. And then Floyd is your number 1 wide receiver, and then so your number 2 wide receiver is essentially a number 3 because of Gates.
I'm always hesitant with San Diego wideouts.
You're just very hesitant today with. You don't want to really.
I'm not very non-committal. Non-committal Thursday.
Non-committal Thursday.
So that's every
Wafting.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Right.
All right. And is that we got anybody else? Or?
Well, wait, we got to find out what his
Oh
options
yeah,
are.
what his
We
options
haven't
are.
been
I would say
Haven't said anything about it.
Okay.
It was just a general question since they're going up against the Cardinals.
Yeah, but the Cardinals are so bad that you might only be thrown for the first half. Yeah, San Diego could get up big on them and then just be grinded out. You know?
Yeah, they also have Rogers Cromartie.
Cromartie.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good point. He can be a shutdown guy. You know, I mean, if you don't have better options, yeah, you start him. I mean, it's always, if you're catching passes from Phillip Rivers, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
The guy's definitely a top 5 quarterback. He's awesome, but
He's been doing really well lately, too.
yeah, on a team that's been failing him miserably. All right. I guess we should move on. We have another special segment brought to you by the Jabber, except this week he's known as the Mick Jabber.
Yes. Today I'm Mick Jabber, ladies and gentlemen, because we like to give you guys, a nice healthy dose of different types of players clustered together that you wouldn't normally find. So we had this little idea a few weeks ago. We were kind of brainstorming about it, and I now present to you the All Mick team, ladies and gentlemen. The All Mick team. Starting quarterback, Donovan McNabb.
Of course, that's easy.
Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
What do we think of McNabb going forward?
Yeah, McNabb, good, solid.
Solid.
Yeah.
Running back, Darren McFadden.
Awesome.
He's been solid.
How excited were you when he was good and you're like, I got another Mick?
Oh, I got another Mick. Oh, it's the best. The best. And I have two additions this week. Now, the other running back, because Ray Rice was a little banged up, there was word, and now we're going to get to our sort of Willis McGahee, LaRon McClain. So, McClain could get a couple of goal line carries here and there. McGahee usually not using that capacity. Of course, if Ray Rice comes back, don't worry about it. He's the guy. But what about McGahee's prospects if Rice can't go?
Yeah, I mean, they're still playing a tough team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are playing Pittsburgh.
And it looks more and more like the things you're hearing look more and more like Rice is going to be playing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think it's McGahee if Rice is unable to go. But
Which is another Mick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
McGahee.
Right. And Coach Josh McDaniels, thank you, Rune, coaching the squad, may want to put Ray Rice in for that big game.
I have a question
Even
on
though
running
he
back.
doesn't have him on the
What
All-Mick
about LaShawn McCoy?
LaShawn McCoy is the other starting running back.
Yeah, who screwed me
Perfect.
this week.
Who screwed Claire.
But
that has
I'm
nothing to
sure
do with
he'll
it.
be fine next week.
Right. LaShawn McCoy struggled a little bit last week.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how this guy develops. I think with LaShawn McCoy, it seems to me like they just need to find the best way to use him, and when that happens, he's going to explode and be great.
Yeah, the one thing you have to be careful about with McCoy, though, is quarterback changes affect a lot of people. When they changed over to Vic, it was great for Macklin. It was great for Sean Jackson. It looks like Selleck's going to have a little bit better of a year than we thought. It might hurt McCoy because the way Kolb likes the little dump passes, Vic, not so much. He just runs himself because he's faster than McCoy. So, you know, that might be, I don't know for sure, but be careful. You know?
Yeah, we'll see. Here's another interesting guy, Dexter McCluster, wide receiver from McCluster, from KC. Bo, still the number one guy. This guy had, I believe, 3 catches, 69 yards last week, and a touchdown. Exciting young talent. His fantasy viability right now, JJ.
The thing is to get return yards. If you get return yards, he's a good pickup.
Right. So if he's included in your special teams defense,
if your special team you get return yards,
minute.
I think he's a good option. If not, then I don't really think so. I think that he will have some electric games and be lights out, but I think he will also disappear quite a bit.
I'd add to that also if you're in a keeper league. He's a guy that I think, because look, rookie wide receivers generally take a little longer to grasp the game. It's very rare you get an Anquan Bolden who just comes in game one and is amazing.
Right.
He's shown that he's got the skills. And at this point, he's just got to learn, get more comfortable with the speed of the game and the system. But 3 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown in your 3rd game as a rookie, the kid's got talent. So in a keeper league or a return yardage league, he's somebody that I would be keeping, and in a return yardage league, I'd be starting him. And I put him on my bench now just to see if I'm hurting at wide receiver and I need some depth. That's a good guy to have on your team, and think about
I mean, you could do worse.
He's got a bye week this week, though. So,
it's not like Bo's put up spectacular numbers. This guy could emerge as the guy, just as Bo did, right, last year. Right. Now, keep in mind, folks, in putting together the All-Mick team, you got to cheat a little bit here and there because let's face it, none of these guys are Irish. And so here are my cheats for the week.
All right.
Jeremy Macklin,
Hey?
Coffee, talk to me about the Mac attack.
Yeah, I just picked him up this week, actually.
All right.
He was available in your league
this week. Shocker.
Guy had 3 touchdowns, and he's just sitting on the waiver wire.
Yeah, because I was so disappointed with LaShawn McCoy.
Well, he might
She traded Mix.
She traded me.
Oh my gosh,
So,
hilarious.
because, Macklin was so exciting, I thought.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
he's on my team.
Claire's also never had a relationship that lasts longer than a month, so you have to keep that in mind. All right, here's a guy.
She's always looking
just
on the
because I
waiver
was so thrilled that he was in the league, that he's still playing. Randy McMichael, ladies and gentlemen. The guy caught a ball last week for 28 yards, but he plays behind
Fantasy
Antonio
irrelevance.
Gates. Moving on. And my last guy, hey, you mentioned him already today, Lewis the Murph Murphy.
Lewis the Murph. That's his new name now.
Closest thing to
You
another
saw it.
Irish name that I can find.
Louis Murphy.
Louis Murphy.
Louis Murphy. That
Right.
sounds pretty
Oh, you got
It's
your
not the
Murphy.
like New York City.
Murphy.
Irish.
You got your backup quarterback in
Louis
Fitzpatrick.
Murphy from Forest Hills.
He does sound like a jazz player as well.
He does sound like a jazz player. Trumpet. Trumpet or drums. Anyway, so there it is, folks. Thank you, the All-Mick team.
Wait, can I make
We
an
hope you do
addition?
it. Yes, please.
You got a coach, but you don't have an owner. How about Frank McCourt owning
Oh,
your
Frank McCourt. He's leading baseball.
He's going to be looking for a team.
One of them's not going to have a team.
Right,
and they'll
one of
need a new
them.
you
One
know?
of them is entitled to something. So there you have it, the All-Mick team, and I'll be back next week with one of our other.
And the guy before he blows up.
Yeah.
Not after when
Yeah.
everybody already knows
Yeah.
that because they can pick up a newspaper and see his stats.
What
Yeah.
you're trying to say is ESPN sucks?
For
This is-
fantasy
this is
football,
real?
yes.
Yeah,
I would
this
say they're great for regular stuff, but for fantasy football, they're not fantasy football
now
guys.
all ESPN is every time I turn it on, it's NASCAR.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah,
Too
that's
many
true.
cars.
Which is
You're right,
not
Robin.
a sport.
What we're trying to say is this is real fantasy football fans. We're not,
Yeah.
a, bunch of,
Yeah.
we're not a bunch of overpaid.
And remember, we have fantasy
Overpaid
football,
ex-athletes.
race cars, and
Blow-offs.
power tools, according to the song. So let's move on into our next segment. I'm going to hand it over to Jabber for the fantasy news.
Fantasy news, ladies and gentlemen. We got big news coming out of the NFL this week. I know this is something that Adam's very concerned about. The owners are set on moving to an 18-game schedule. Now, you wouldn't think, as I said initially, that this was sort of big fantasy news, but Adam, it is big fantasy news. Why?
Well, if, number one, it affects keeper leagues big time. You know, there's a lot of leagues, like I'm in a league where like a Javid Best might be worth more than somebody who's scoring more than him because he's going to have keeper value for years. He's young, you know, those kind of things. Number two, what if we don't have fantasy football next year? What the hell am I going to do with my entire fall? I mean, I don't know how I'd make it through this.
So it's emotionally impactful.
It's horrible. I mean, this is
May I
horrible.
suggest fantasy curling?
No.
I haven't figured out how it's going to work yet or when the curling season is, but if there's no football next year, which I unfortunately believe that it will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It's like there's been talk of lockout. It's not about 18 games, it's about money.
Yeah.
The owners want a bigger pie than they're getting right now from the Flares with the salary cap. They want to make more money. It's about greed. And that's what it's going to be. And now they're going to say, "Oh no, it's about the 18-game schedule." No, it's about money. It's about greed. It's about who gets more. And I think there's going to be a lockout. But fantasy curling, I haven't figured it out yet, but I will find out when the season is, and I will start putting together leagues in the case of a lockout. You can come here. It'll be stupid for fantasy curling, and we'll figure some stuff out.
Maybe we could have some sort of game where we try to figure out what the NFL players are going to be doing with their offseason. We can
Oh,
have
I
like
like that,
fantasy, recreational.
Or you
Right,
got you
over, unders
about
on
no football
who gets
nightmare
thrown in jail
scenario.
first.
Right, like
'cause
what
that's gonna
team
happen.
has the most
Yes.
arrests in the offseason
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
throwing me off?
my fault. It's my fault.
But he seems like you can do that. What he did last week against a run defense like that, I think. Maybe it's time to stop calling him a poor man's version and just say that he's a good running back and he's going to be a solid starter for the rest of the season.
I agree that he's a good running back. I don't necessarily agree that he's going to keep this up all season. Okay, speaking of all stat, a guy like that, okay, he had a couple of great games too where he'd score a couple of TDs, get over 100 yards, and be like, whoa, amazing. I don't think those big beefy backs, like your boy JK, John Kuhn, I don't think he's gonna do it all season. Look, now's the time to trade him. In my league, he was just traded, at a very high value for a couple of guys who are up and coming, like Colston was involved in the deal, something like that. So if you can swing that, more power to you.
But
I
we
wouldn't
did
necessarily
say
count on
like
him for the
3
rest of the
weeks
season.
ago that this was a guy who is going to take over the number
did.
1 spot, and this is the guy you should pick up.
And I have,
we
to give,
were
I have
right.
to give Marty credit for that. 'Cause
Yeah,
Marty
Marty.
was the first guy on the Hillis bandwagon we all jumped on right after
Yeah,
that. So,
sure.
Marty, good job.
we
Wherever
did
you
it 'cause we're
are
all-
out there, Marty, we miss you.
He's not dead up there. He's
not?
He's just away
that's
right
good.
now. I have to point
That's
that out.
good.
Marty's
so
just
he's
not
coming back?
here.
Yeah, he's
coming
not
back
with us.
eventually.
He's just not here.
Because I
Just
really
not-
wanted to keep his
Just not
jerseys.
to be
These are
dramatic.
signed,
Yeah,
and
right.
they're his. I mean,
Marty
it's
is-
Witten and
Marty's
Peterson.
still.
I have dibs on Peterson. So.
Well, maybe something will happen on the way home.
Nobody
Anyway,
has dibs on Culpepper.
next guy that we told you about was Brandon Lloyd. We talked about him last week. Had a great week. He's starting to look like Denver's number 1, although it kind of goes back and forth between him and Royal, and Gaffney's looking pretty good too. But Brandon Lloyd is he had a huge game last week. Huge game.
Let's
did.
let our Niner fans talk about their emotions of Brandon Lloyd.
Well, I'm happy for him, and at the same time, it's sort of like it's overdue. I mean, look, the kid he makes great plays, makes spectacular plays. He's got great hands. He's great on the sidelines. Toes on the sideline, and he's good. I mean, who knows? This could be it. What do you think, Claire?
I think anytime someone can excel, you gotta hand it to them. But I think anytime someone explodes one week, you have to be wary about the next week. You can't expect the same type of numbers, especially in a place like that where they have they do spread it around. But yeah, he looked great, and I think you can expect at least comparable.
And he was. That is quite the heavy metal intro. Claire liked it.
Yeah.
Race cars, power tools I'm with. Race cars, huh? Welcome to Stupid for Fantasy Football. I'm Adam. This is Claire, Jabber, and JJ. We're coming to you live from the streaming garage. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Check us out on YouTube, Blip TV, and iTunes, which is preferred because you don't have to see us. That's nice. Except for you, Claire. You look great. All right, we're going to get right into.
But you can, right?
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
that?
you totally can.
You
See
can
us.
see us because you want to.
You want to.
See, that's why.
We have our own camera.
It's like
Not the
looking at the
jerseys.
49ers D. It's just not.
Already.
Oh, sorry. So let's get to who screwed you. Speaking of the 49ers D, our segment where we talk about who let us down on our fantasy teams this week. Who screwed you? Or me.
What is this one?
It's kind of a DreamWorks scene.
It was a little fluffy white clouds.
Kid
That's
fishing
because
off the moon.
you wish it were a dream, maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I'll kick it off. No one screwed me. I went 3-0 this week. It was a great weekend for me. I was high score in 2 of my leagues. It's fantastic.
Good
How'd you
job.
guys do?
Good job. The only person who didn't screw me was my kicker, Matt Prater. I got screwed by Javid Best, LaShawn McCoy, Andre Johnson, Wes Welker, and Vernon Davis. Mostly what screwed me were injuries, though, so I think I'm going to change my team name to the Brittle Bone Brigade after this past week. I think it's time for an overhaul. Mark?
Look, amazingly, nobody really screwed me either this week, Jason.
Wow. Well, I was
won! I actually won a game in my league. I beat Greg Boogie Rosenberger. I beat his Autos Orange Pack. I'll tell you, if I had to have gotten screwed, it would probably be from Percy Harvin and Steve Smith because they were on my bench, and that would have made me, I'm pretty sure, the highest scorer of the week. And those are 2 guys that I usually would start. You know what I mean? But I won, so nobody screwed me.
Wow, I was expecting.
It was a great pickup.
Yeah.
I mean,
No
you
doubt.
get him for nothing.
He was dropped in my league last week, picked up this week. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to hand the next one over to the man who called it,
I
JJ.
did. Louis Murphy,
Yep.
who I like to call Louis, although I believe it's Louis.
Louis.
But I like Louis better.
Some people call him All Scott.
Yeah. But last week I said this is a guy who's available in almost all the leagues. He seems to be the only guy catching balls. It actually looks like, that offense is getting a little more, Grabowski is actually getting them down. Wow, I have become addict. I can't say anything.
Grab Ass is doing a great job over there in Oakland.
I'm just gonna say
The Polish cannon.
I'm gonna say the Polish cannon is doing a great job getting the ball.
Now he's the Polish sausage.
You know, he had 119 yards of receiving, didn't get in the end zone, but that's still a great performance. And yeah, now you're going to find that I don't think he's going to be available in as many leagues this week.
No.
No.
And he plays Houston this week, and Houston gives up all kinds of passing yards. They're easy to score on as a wide receiver. I think he's going to have another big game this week. So I definitely start him. If you listen to us and you picked him up, start him this week.
And I do think the Raiders are going to turn it around too. I think they're, I don't think they're
they've
as
got
bad
a solid
as
run
everybody
game now.
thinks they are.
Yeah, McFadden's the real deal.
They do.
That's going to sum it up for We Told You So, unless there's anybody you guys wanted to bring up that I missed.
You don't want to talk about your boy again?
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez. How about him, huh? Consistent every week, getting a lot of looks. I love it. All right,
We knew
Aaron
it was
Hernandez.
coming.
You heard it here first.
He's a good-looking guy too.
Yeah, he
I will
is.
say
He's
that.
a stud.
Yeah, he looks like a stud.
Good-looking dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'll give you one more.
All right, go for it.
We put Tony Gonzalez in our Hall of Fame a few weeks ago, and he finally had a big game.
Yeah, that's good.
Tony Gonzalez is back.
Yeah.
We told you he'd be back.
Of course he'd be back. I mean, it's
right.
Tony Gonzalez. I do want to make a little side note here. I found this funny. ESPN is recommending Aaron Hernandez and Peyton Hillis this week. We recommended Aaron Hernandez before the first game of the year, and we recommended Peyton Hillis after week 1. So
He's not plugging ESPN, folks. He's
no,
not
with
plugging that.
with like 1/millionth the money. Actually less. We have zero cash. And look at their beautiful sets.
Right.
I mean, not quite as nice as ours.
But we've got the new pimped-out studio in the commissary outside.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah,
that is
food
nice.
court and
Yeah,
everything.
they're building us a 3-level set. It'll be
amazing.
fantastic. They're a little behind the 8 ball there. I mean, you recommend a guy after he blows up for 140 yards? That's not a waiver wire pickup.
What we
He's already
do
gone.
is we recommend a Claire-type list from you to include like random backups and other team members. Like
No,
normal.
well, Claire has random backups because Claire dumped half of her squad this week.
we will get
She's
to
in an
that.
18 league, so you can just pick up anybody. Tom Brady's available in her league.
You know who screwed me? Miles Austin.
Oh,
Or Austin Miles, or whatever the heck his formula of
Miles
names is. I don't care. I'm upset. 2 receptions for 20 yards. We finally get a Dallas Cowboys win. And does this mean like the Dallas Cowboys win and Austin does terrible? If so, not that I like the Cowboys, but I will root against them. 2 receptions for 20 yards. You know how many points that got me in my league?
4.
1. 1 point.
How do you do scoring in that league?
You get like bonuses at reception levels, and it's 15 yards for a point from a receiver. And the first bonus at reception levels is once you have 5 receptions. So he got me a whole stinking point. Ocho Cinco also crapped the bed. Jacoby Jones. I can go on. Just my team.
You're
whatever.
Mark this week.
I am. I'm Mark. Where's the angry sunglasses in the
Jacoby, JJ.
whatever?
You just shanked that name.
Yeah, that's my job. I mess up names on this show.
I apologize. I got too angry. I got too angry.
Well, let's move on to our next segment. You know, we've been really nailing some good picks here, and this is what we do. This is all it's also true that we have no life when we look at fantasy football all week.
Exactly.
Speak for yourself.
So we're going to go on to our next segment. We told you so.
I'm glad we're back to the bullets, by the way.
I'm
glad.
but
love the bullets.
The other one was kind of funny.
The baby voice.
Yeah.
Sure, back to the Bible.
It worked.
Corey wasn't feeling well this week, so he didn't get around to a whole. He's going to do one every week, apparently.
Yeah.
Keep messing with us.
He should have done a sick baby.
Yeah. It should have just been
That
like
would
Baby
have
that's
been
been
great.
discarded.
Sure.
some kind of vomiting.
I was going to say garbage can, but that's
All right. Our first guy we're going to talk about, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because we were talking about him 2 weeks ago, is Peyton Hillis. This guy just blew up on one of the best run Ds in all of football. He looks like the real deal. He just knocked Jerome Harrison out of his starting job. What do you guys think?
I think he's more like Allscott than a poor man's version of Allstott.
All stock?
What
What are you doing?
with you people.
That's my job.
You know, when I showed up,
We need a dictionary here. An NFL dictionary of names. Okay.
I'm going to say when I showed up,
Allstott
was in my
ran
seat,
I know, it's
and,
my fault.